This morning, police and air safety investigators begin the task of working out why a firefighting air tanker crashed, killing 3 American crew. Wild weather, hail, heavy rain and a dust cloud sweep over Sydney as a cold front moves through. And Sopranos actor Annabella Sciorra gives graphic evidence about Harvey Weinstein raping her at his trial for sexual assault.
This is 7 News with Sally Bowrey.
Good morning. Police have joined air safety investigators as they try to work out why a large air tanker crashed in southern New South Wales, killing all 3 people on board. Olivia Leeming is near the crash site at Numarella, not far from Cooma. Good morning to you, Olivia. The investigation is now underway.
Good morning, Sal. Yes, transport safety investigators are now working with police to try and piece together exactly how this aircraft met such a tragic fate. We have exclusive pictures of the wreckage of this C130 Hercules, which erupted in a fireball yesterday afternoon, killing all 3 American crew members on board. The aircraft left Richmond. It was heading to a fire in the snowy Monero region on a routine water bombing run when it crashed in bushland at Peakview. A minute's silence has been held for RFS staff at headquarters today as a mark of respect for the 3 Americans, all aged in their early to mid-40s. At least 32 Canadians and US firefighters were farewelled amid the grief and sadness after working tirelessly for the past month with crews in New South Wales. RSF Commissioner Shane Fitzsimmons says the 3 men killed were highly experienced firefighters.
We simply don't know the circumstances pertaining to the accident at this stage, and the appropriate formal investigations and inquiries are underway.
Here in Numaralla, police, hazmat and fire and rescue teams reconvened before heading to the crash site this morning. Investigators will gather evidence and interview witnesses to try and work out what caused this crash. Firefighters here were hampered by poor visibility and strong, hot wind gusts yesterday. Today, conditions have eased dramatically. The temperature's far cooler, the wind's much lighter, giving firefighters here some much-needed relief. Sal?
OK, thank you very much. Olivia Leeming reporting there. The Canadian company that owned the large air tanker is sending representatives to Australia to assist in the investigation. Colson Aviation had leased the C130 to Australian firefighting authorities. Amelia Brace has more from their Vancouver Island headquarters.
Well, a group of investigators and executives from Colson Aviation are now on their way from here, Vancouver Island, Canada, to Australia to oversee this investigation. Colson is a huge company here in Canada and in the United States, and it specialises in aerial firefighting, those big water bombing aircraft. In fact, the company has another C130 on lease to Australia at the moment, but has made the decision to ground all of its large water bombing vessels while they investigate exactly what happened yesterday. The company says that it will not be speaking publicly today as it mourns those 3 crew members.
6 volunteer firefighters have been injured when their water tanker rolled while they were fighting bushfires on the New South Wales south coast. The crew were battling the Clyde Mountain fire in Eurobodalla late last night when they crashed.
There were 6 occupants on board that firefighting tanker. All 6 were taken to hospital as a precaution and for assessment. None of them were suffering any life-threatening injuries.
3 were kept in hospital overnight for treatment. Hopes of finding a miner alive are fading after he became trapped underground when part of a gold mine collapsed in Western Tasmania. Search teams are now focusing on recovering his body. Laurel Irving has more.
Until just a few hours ago, there was still a faint hope that this miner might be able to be rescued, but a specialist 3D thermal imaging drone which flew around the site of a partial mine collapse early yesterday morning has confirmed that authorities believe that it is highly unlikely that anybody could have survived. The man was driving a loader at the time, loading ore onto the back of a truck when he and the machine fell into a hole, and authorities say that the drone has revealed that the size of that hole is enormous and that the cab of the loader is almost entirely covered now in rockfall. The area is still in incredibly unstable and dangerous. It means that nobody can actually get down to the site, and so the recovery of the man's body is likely to take days at least.
Our whole teams are devastated by the news. Our thoughts and prayers are with the family, the communities and all the workmates and all our employees and everyone who's involved in the Henty Gold Mine.
All the operations at the mine are still suspended and will remain so for some time until at least the man's body is recovered. And of course there are now several investigations underway into how this tragedy happened.
Bridget McKenzie says she has no intention of standing down over her role in the sports rort scandal. Political reporter Taylor Aiken is in Canberra for us today. Good morning to you, Taylor. This uproar certainly won't go away for the coalition.
Good morning, Sally. That's right. Deputy Nationals leader Bridget McKenzie is standing firm and refusing to bow to intense political pressure to stand down over her role in the sports rort scandal that continues to plague the government. Already, Prime Minister Scott Morrison has launched an investigation into this matter, including a $36,000 grant to a gun club in regional Victoria that Bridget McKenzie was a member of. It's understood that senior Nationals have called for unity in the wake of the scandal, with leader Michael McCormack insisting his deputy is entitled to a fair investigation.
I'm not going to be judge and jury. I'm going to let process take its course. That's the only right thing to do. In any situation in Australia, people are always innocent until proven otherwise. Bridget McKenzie has declared her memberships as she was required to do.
The outcome of that investigation is expected to be handed down by the Secretary of Prime Minister and Cabinet in the next few days, but there's no doubt that Labor will continue to fuel this political fire, especially when Parliament returns for the year on February 4th. Sally.
That's a given. OK, thank you very much, Taylor. A fast-moving thunderstorm has swept across Sydney, bringing hail, heavy rain and damaging winds. While last night on the Central Coast, roofs were ripped off buildings, leaving many without power. Tom Saker reports.
Good morning. Point Frederick here in the Central Coast was one of the worst affected in last night's supercell, which ripped the roof off this three-level unit block in what residents have dubbed a mini cyclone, prolonging this summer's wildly damaging and unpredictable weather.
It hit really suddenly.
Yeah.
And it was worse than your normal storm type thing.
You got elderly people, an elderly lady in a wheelchair on the top floor. You got people with kids on the top floor. They were all panicking. Everyone was panicking because there was wires exposed. Water was coming in pretty quickly.
Less than 12 hours elapsed before a second storm hit Sydney this morning, bringing large hailstones to suburbs including Castlereagh near Penrith. But between 10 and 11 last night, wind gusts nearing 100 kilometres an hour brought down trees on major roads, including the old Pacific Highway between Calgary and Mount White. A shed was pushed onto the fence along the rail line at Woy Woy, and power is still being restored to thousands of homes this morning in Ettalong and Umina Beach. More than 7,000 homes were without power last night. At midnight, the temperature in Sydney was 30 degrees before a southerly change swept through early this morning, bringing a heavy layer of dust that coated cars and homes. It also brought thick smoke from those fires still burning in southern parts of the state. Residents here who are living on the top floor have been temporarily relocated until they have a roof back on their unit block.
Sopranos actor Annabella Sciorra has told the Harvey Weinstein sexual assault trial how the movie mogul attacked and raped her after barging into her apartment. The shocking testimony is the first time the court has heard directly from one of his alleged victims. Paul Caddock has more.
Good morning, Sally. Sopranos star Annabella Sciorra has fought back tears as she told the court how she was raped by Harvey Weinstein in her apartment back in the 1990s. She said it happened after a dinner with a group of people, including Weinstein, that the producer suddenly appeared at her front door afterwards, effectively barging his way in. He started removing his shirt as she was asking him to leave. He kept coming at me, she said. I felt overpowered because he was very big. He shoved me on the bed. I was just trying to get away from him. He put my hands over my head to hold them back, and he raped me. The 59-year-old said afterwards, "I wanted to pretend it never happened because I wanted to get back to my life." She became emotional. She then described how she became withdrawn from family and friends. She began drinking and started to harm herself. Under cross-examination, Harvey Weinstein's lawyers asked about her lack of memory on specific details and dates, why she didn't call for help or run out of the apartment after Weinstein entered. "It was very fast," Shura replied. She conceded she didn't go to the police, a doctor or a hospital afterwards, saying she was devastated and she didn't understand that was rape. Harvey Weinstein isn't charged over this alleged assault on Annabella Sciorra because under New York law it happened too long ago. But the prosecution is hoping it'll help show a pattern of behaviour as they seek to prove charges of predatory sexual assault committed against 2 other women, charges which carry a penalty of between 10 years and life in prison. The trial continues here in New York. Sally, back to you.
A Perth mother has issued a warning to other parents after she filmed her toddler gaining access to the backyard swimming pool. Within seconds, 3-year-old Isaiah and his baby sister are poolside. His mother, Crystal, fears if she hadn't been watching, the worst could have happened.
It took me days to get over that. I was in shock. It was a bit surreal, and I kept thinking, you know, what would have happened if I hadn't have been there? I would have walked out to something horrific. So, yeah, it was quite frightening.
She posted the video online, which has now received more than 1.5 million views. Next in 7 News, a police officer uses a taser to bring down his attacker after a routine traffic stop turned violent. And Prince Charles warns about the growing rise of intolerance as he becomes the most senior royal to visit Jerusalem. A man has been found guilty of attacking police with a machete in London. He was only stopped when an officer fired a taser. The entire incident captured on body camera. Hugh Whitfeld has more.
This was meant to be a routine traffic stop on the streets of London. Police officers weren't expecting the response they received from convicted rapist Mohammed Rodwan, who inside his van had a very dangerous weapon. Police initially tried to ask him about whether his vehicle had insurance before things got heated.
Stop fighting, stop resisting.
There was a struggle as officers tried to arrest the handyman in his van. That's when Rodwan pulled out a machete he'd only recently sharpened. Under attack, PC stood out and manages to fire his taser twice, which brings down his attacker. He then pins him to the ground before realising he's bleeding badly, calling in bystanders to help.
I'd be dead. I fully believe that he would have carried on chopping and hacking at me. I may have been able to fight him off, but with the blood loss that has already come through and that would have carried on, I don't think I'd have been able to stop him with that taser.
The officer is due to return to frontline duty shortly. The attacker is awaiting sentencing.
A man is undergoing testing in Sydney for possible coronavirus. China continues to isolate the city at the centre of the health scare. Troops have sealed off Wuhan, home to 11 million people. All transport in and out of the city has been blocked as China tries to stop the spread of the virus ahead of Chinese New Year celebrations. The World Health Organization says it's decided not to declare it a global emergency yet.
It is too early because of limited number of cases abroad, and also considering the efforts which are presently made by China.
Hundreds of people have been infected by the virus in China. 17 people have died. And Prince Charles has joined world leaders in Israel to mark 75 years since the liberation of the Nazi death camp Auschwitz. The Prince warned that hatred and intolerance still exists today.
We must be vigilant in discerning these ever-changing threats.
Prince Charles is on a 2-day visit to the Holy Land. Time to check the financial markets now. And the ASX is trading up 24 points. The Australian dollar is buying 68 US cents, 75 Japanese yen and $1.03 New Zealand. Next in 7 News, sport with Jim Wilson, including a cricket thriller and a new captain at the Brisbane Broncos in the NRL. Plus, the Wild Thing lives up to his nickname at the Australian Open.
Good morning, everyone. Nick Kyrgios has apologised to his support team after venting his frustrations during his 4-set victory over Gilles Simon at the Australian Open. Kyrgios was at his entertaining best in the second round showdown before he was given a time violation in the second set, to which he responded by impersonating Rafael Nadal's pre-serve routine. After dropping the third, the Aussie unleashed on his supporters box, but still did enough to recover and move a step closer to a potential fourth-round clash against Rafa.
I was being a bit of a to them, and I apologised as soon as I went back into the locker room because they don't deserve that. They do a lot of things to me on and off the court.
As Nadal was cruising to a straight sets win, a stray shot hit a ball girl in the face. Now, Rafa was all class and went to check on the youngster before giving her a hug and a kiss on the cheek. How good was that? Sydney Sixers openers Josh Philippe and James Vince have overshadowed the returning Test stars in the Sixers' 8-wicket victory over the Brisbane Heat at the Gabba. Chris Lynn was clean bowled for just 7 runs in what was the start of the Heat collapse. Man of the summer, Marnus Labuschagne, went for 3.
Oh no, the catch is here. Labuschagne to Smith, if you don't mind.
Well, I'll tell you what, you've got to give someone some credit for that, and that's Jordan Silk.
Chasing 126, Vince and Philippe made light work of the target. Vince cruising to his first Big Bash half-century, and Philippe remained 52 not out. Well, the Sixers have reclaimed second spot on the ladder following that win against the Brisbane Heat. The top 5 teams qualify for the finals. It's the pointy end of the tournament. Tonight, the Sydney Thunder take on the Hobart Hurricanes in Hobart before the Perth Scorchers take on the Adelaide Strikers at Optus Stadium in Perth. Australia has scored a thrilling last ball win over England to advance to the quarterfinals of the Under-19s Cricket World Cup. Fast bowler Connor Sully claimed 2 wickets before striking unbeaten 35 off 20 to knock arch rivals England out of the competition. Sully struck 3 sixes and a 4 before sealing the win on the final delivery.
This has been a superb victory, courtesy Sully and Murphy.
Next up, Australia will play the winner of the New Zealand-India clash tonight. The Brisbane Broncos have announced back rower Alex Glenn as their new captain for the 2020 Premiership season. The 31-year-old, who has played 259 games for the Broncos since his debut in 2009, will take over the role from Darius Boyd.
To sit here in front of all of you and lead this club to the best of my ability is something that I'm very grateful for, and I'll be doing everything that I can to make you all proud. So thank you so much.
Glenn becomes the Broncos' 12th skipper in their 32-year history. Liverpool has recorded their 14th straight Premier League win after surviving a close encounter against the Wolves. Liverpool's Jordan Henderson struck first. The home side levelled in the second half, but the Reds were too good.
You cannot write them off at any stage under the cosh in this second half, but still they find the answer.
Liverpool is 16 points clear at the top of the ladder. The Brisbane Bullets' Will Magnay has continued his push for NBA selection during his side's 108-101 win over South East Melbourne Phoenix. Now, the Bullets trailed for most of the game before gaining the upper hand with a Magnay dunk and a layup with 4 minutes left. With 1 minute remaining, Magnay made his 7th block of the night.
The confidence that the team has in me to block shots, and I don't always get them and I make mistakes, but they're always trying to help me out and crack down and get the rebound.
Brisbane is now 4th on the ladder. More sport coming your way at 4 and 6, and don't forget the big BBL doubleheader tonight.
Thanks for that, Jim.
Thanks, Sal.
Next in 7's Morning News, we'll have the national weather forecast with Samantha Brett. A cold snap has hit the American state of Florida, leading to a strange phenomenon of frozen iguanas falling out of trees. The cold-blooded reptiles become increasingly lethargic as the temperature drops. I know the feeling. Authorities are warning residents they're not dead, just asleep, and they will come back to life as soon as they warm up. Let's go and check out the weather forecast now with Samantha Brett. And Sam, things have really cooled down today.
Sally, good morning. Yes, after those record-breaking temperatures that we saw yesterday, things have certainly cooled down today, and that is all thanks to a trough and a cold front that is sweeping through the southeast. So let's take a look at our live weather wall. In Sydney, we saw that intense hailstorm roll in just a few hours ago. That has now cleared, but it certainly remains very hazy after that dust storm last night. So we're looking at a top of 28 degrees. Taking a look at Brisbane. Brisbane, cloudy with a chance of showers, around 5 millimetres of rain with a warm top of 33 degrees. To Melbourne, and that dust storm that rolled in yesterday, you can see is slowly clearing this morning, so you are looking at a top of 24 degrees. And a few clouds about in Adelaide with a top of 23. Taking a look at the radar now, and rain is clearing across Victoria, but we're expecting patchy rain for Sydney and Brisbane across the weekend. So on Saturday, showers for Brisbane and Sydney, cloudy in Melbourne, Hobart and Adelaide. And a very quick look at your Australia Day forecast. A bit of rain in Brisbane and in the top end, mostly dry elsewhere. So that is the latest weather. More updates for you at 4 o'clock. Sal?
Thanks for that, Sam. And that is 7 News to Now. We'll keep you up to date throughout the day. I'm Sally Bowrey. Thanks for your company. Have a good one.